Hi, this is Dave, Fell Running Guide. Welcome to another navigation task. In this one, we've got a map of an area of the Peak District, the Ordnance Survey 1 to 25,000, and we've got a photograph. And what I want to know is, where was the photograph taken? And on the map, can you identify the feature circled in red? So this thing on the skyline here. So there's the photo. Let's have a look at that for a moment. What have we got? Well, looks like we're on a quite a well-defined path or track, quite flat ground, and then over into the distance we've got higher ground, a skyline. Looks like there might be some rocky outcrops on that skyline dead ahead of us, and slightly over to the left looks like there might be some more rocks just breaking the skyline. Hard to see in the foreground. Maybe looks like this path might just kink off left a little bit. Possibly see some streams heading up to the left there. Certainly something going off up here. We've got something here in the foreground as well. Is that significant? Let's have a look a little bit more closely at the map now. So what can we see? Well, we need to be looking up to high ground from quite a flat area, possibly on a path or a track that's shown on the map. So we've got a bridleway running along here up to high ground. We've got this Strinesmore Ridge track running along here. It's quite flat along there, look. Looking up to this high ground here. We've got Strine's Edge path, which would be looking up towards here. So is it any of those, or is it any others? Can't see anything down in this area, so I think it's going to be one of those. First of all, this one, the Falstone Road, well, that's going uphill quite significantly for most of its length, so that we can possibly discount that one. What about this path here, Strinesmore Ridge? So could we be on there somewhere on that ridge? Let me just put an arrow on for you. Could we be on there looking up there towards Wheelstones, those stones over in the distance? So maybe that's a possibility. Or could we be on here somewhere looking over towards Back Tor with those rocky outcrops there in the distance? Well, if we were taking the first option, then yeah, we could be on this, maybe this flattening here looking southwest towards Wheelstones, but we'd need to be looking further over to our left to look for rocky ground on the horizon. We couldn't really be looking towards White Tor there, because we'd be looking sort of off obliquely from this path, and we're looking straight along it. So I don't think we can be looking at that White Tor and then this to the left of it. That doesn't seem to make sense. If we look at the photo, we're looking directly up to that feature there rather than sort of off to the right slightly. So maybe not that. So what about on this, somewhere on this track here, looking directly across up to high ground in the distance? And we can see here we've got these rocky outcrops near the trigger point of Back Tor. And if we come left of that, what can we see? Well, we get rocky ground here and along here, Derwent Edge, Dovestone, Boulder, but all these here are actually facing off to the west over the lip on the, see there's a break of slope here, so it's flat ground and then dropping away the other side. Those rocks that we can see are this side of the break of slope. So what about those there? Cakes of bread. Does that make sense? Let's have a look. So Back Tor being up there, and then Cakes of Bread here, and all the other rocky outcrops are over the other edge, the other side of this edge, looking away to the west. So that would make a little bit of sense, saying that we're on this this line here. Whereabouts exactly? Now that's a question. Now this is a little bit deceptive because it looks like the path kinks off left or right here, and if we look on the map we might think, okay, so we're up here approaching this left and right turn, but if we look at that, if we were up close to here, we'd be very close to the high point there, this sort of flat 410 area, and then either dropping away slightly just beyond it and then up the other side, or this little dip here before going up the other side. Now if we look on the photograph, we can see still quite a way ahead of us we get this, still we get this little rise, so we're not quite as close to that bend as we might think. Now I mentioned this thing here before. Now that is a big clue, because this here, it's not just a random sort of old gate post, it's actually a boundary stone. And if we look carefully, we can see there's another one there and another one there extending away from us. So looking on the map, again, if we were here expecting that bend to go off, the boundary actually goes up and left, so we won't see boundary stones ahead of us, they'd be away off to the left. So we see here it says boundary stones. So the photograph was actually taken from this point here, just on this flattening, and it's just a little bit deceptive that the track looks like it goes off to the left. It's just a very, very slight kink that's not really shown too much on the map. Now this boundary stone thing is useful because if we were to look on the 1 to 50,000 map, so if I just change, and we're looking here, now that track isn't actually shown on the map, but this boundary line is. And sometimes you might think, what is the point of showing a metropolitan or district boundary on a map? Well, if you recognize that these are actually boundary markers or old boundary markers, then you know that you're on an old boundary. So in this case, even though there's no track marked on the map, you'd be able to say, right, well, we're somewhere on this boundary. So again, we couldn't be on this ridge here, going back to the other map, because that isn't on the boundary. So those are your answers. The photo was taken from this point here, looking along the track with the boundary towards Back Tor High in the distance, and the feature circled was Cakes of Bread. There you see the rocks are just towards us, away from the break of slope on the horizon. So those are your answers. Again, hope you got it right or learnt something from it. Thanks for watching. Look out for more of these navigation challenges. Bye for now.